Happy Friday, sports fans, sports bettors, and it is a great Friday. We have so many things to bet on today. We're going to try and go through as many as we can. I'm Alex White. Thank you so much for joining me today on Sports by the Book. A lot of exciting things happening here at the studio. We will be with you 7 days a week in the morning. You can find us Sunday through Friday, 9 a.m. here at the Sports by the Book YouTube channel. And then Jeff Parles will host 3 great Sports by the Book Football Frenzy episodes. Those will be Monday and Thursday and Friday evening. So just check the description. You will see all the times on there, but we really appreciate you. Please subscribe to this channel. I know that you're already subscribed to our South Point Studio one, but subscribe to this one and follow us on our social media pages. You can find us on all social media at Sports by the Book, and then Instagram at Sports by the Book LV. Okay, let's get into it. Great start to the NFL season last night. The Chiefs win 27-20 over the Ravens. If you had the Ravens, that's a tough, brutal loss to start the season by this much. If you had under 47.5, like my father and grandpa, that's a good one to start the season with. They're very lucky. And you know what? Sometimes you got to take the games that go your way. And I was definitely one who went for the under bettors of 47.5. We've got 3 really good guests lined up for you today. Duane Colucci joins me in 10 minutes from the Rampart Casino. I've got Lou Finnochiaro in 30 minutes. We'll talk NFL picks that he likes. We'll talk futures and some games coming up for this Sunday. And then Chris Andrews will put a bow on top of the show at the end. Last 10 minutes with Chris Andrews, Sportsbook Director here at the South Point. So we'll talk a lot of NFL with those 3. So I'm going to skip. I know we have a big game on the board, and I'm excited. We don't have to wait till Sunday to have another NFL game. We've got the Packers and Eagles in Brazil. Seems like the bettors liking the Packers right now. We have seen a lot of 2.5s. Currently, though, at the South Point, that's the only 2.5 you can get if you like the Packers and you're taking the points. Flat 2, everywhere else with the Eagles. That number has moved up a little bit, sitting at 49. So we'll get into that game. I don't have a strong play. I just have a lean for that one. But I do have a strong play in college football. So that is where we are going to start. 2 games on the board, BYU at SMU and Duke at Northwestern. Starting with BYU and SMU. The Mustangs starting their season off 2-0, looking very good offensively so far. And this has been a team that has been pretty up-tempo and scoring a lot over the past few years. They are a power spread. Last year, they led the nation in scoring offense against conference opponents with 43.7 points per game. Of course, they were in the AAC. Now they move over to the ACC. So I think this is going to be a great game. I lean to the favorite here. I think SMU has more talent on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And BYU is still trying to figure some things out. But historically, this is a team that does score a lot of points. If you get where I'm going with this, in 2022, they averaged 31.4 points per game. Last year, we saw a significant drop to 22.1 points per game. Of course, it was their first year in the Big 12. They saw a lot tougher defenses. So this total right now here at the South Point is sitting at 57. I think that is a great overplay. I have this game 64 between these two. So over for me in the BYU SMU game. Lean though to SMU and the favorite here. Not much movement though. A little bit of a toggler here at 11 and 11.5. Different opinions here, but I do think we will see a lot of points between these two. Moving to Duke and Northwestern. No strong play for me on this one. I wish that total wasn't so low. Sitting here at 37.5. Northwestern is the favorite. That just moved to 1.5. Most places they are a 2-point favorite. Northwestern did not look great last week against Miami, Ohio. They did have more yardage, 328 to 267. Miami, Ohio did find some success in the air, though. 227 passing yards for them. They had 2 interceptions, and Northwestern was able to capitalize on that. Very low-scoring game between those two. And then on the flip side, we saw a very low-scoring game between Duke and Elon as well, 26-3. So I understand why the bettors like the under in this one. Open 39, now down to 37.5. I don't like it at 37.5, though. I think you missed the best of it, and I think that was the number that you should have jumped on. I have Northwestern a 2-point favorite here, just like the book. Kind of a toss-up. You have a strong opinion and like Duke to come out and win this one. So that's it for me for the college football games tonight. Overplay on BYU and SMU. I'm going to jump into a little bit of WNBA. So still to come, we're going to talk about NFL. We've got baseball on the board. Lou Finnochiaro joins us. He'll talk NFL, and I forgot, he will give us some UFC picks for tomorrow. Duane Colucci's got some horse picks coming up, along with his opinion on some of the big college football games on Saturday. And then, as I mentioned, we've got 5 sports going on. There's also tennis. Get down to the South Point. We've got a ton of prop sheets as well. Team totals for NFL are already out. And we've got WNBA. 4 really good games on the board today. I'm going to switch over to that. As you know, I have been following that very closely all year long. Don't want to give it up just yet. We're getting very close to the playoffs, which 2 teams, and this is a bet that I like. I'll start right here with the Dallas Wings and the Atlanta Dream. Both of these teams still playing for that 8th playoff spot. We know 7 have already clinched. So it comes down to the end here. We've got Atlanta 11-22, Chicago 11-22, Washington 11-22. Dallas not completely out of it. They are 9-24 on the road here to face Atlanta. The Dream are a 3-point favorite here at the South Point, total 169.5. Now, since the Dream have come back from the All-Star break, they have been playing much better defense. They dealt with a lot of injuries in the first half, but we've seen them really improve. There's a couple 170s out there, and I think this number has just gotten way too high. I made the game 163. I like to have a 5-point difference on my totals, and that 170 feels like it is a good spot now to jump on the under here. I also lean to the Dream here at 3. I made them a 6-point favorite. They're, as I mentioned, battling for that 8th spot in the playoffs. So whichever way you want to play it, but it's kind of correlated. If you like the home team here, they are the better defense. We have seen the Wings lights out. They're 4-0-1 to the over in their last 5 games. They've really taken a note from Indiana Fever, who started playing very well and just outscoring teams, not necessarily playing great defense. Now we've seen that from the Dallas Wings, especially in the last few weeks here. So that is where that movement is coming from and why people like the over. I like the Dream here to keep it a low-scoring game. And to get this win, I think they will cover that number as well. Another great matchup, 2 of the top teams in the league. Las Vegas Aces going to Connecticut. The Sun getting 2 points here at home, and I think that is the best bet for you in this game. Total sitting at 164.5. Seems like a low total for an Aces game, but we know Connecticut Sun, one of the top defenses in the league. They do struggle sometimes to score, and that is where they have tripped up and not been able to beat some of these other really good teams in the league. These 2 have only played once this year. The Aces won 85-74, and I think that is why we can confidently take the points here with Connecticut at home. You've got the revenge factor. You've got another team that is trying to battle for one of the top spots in the league right now. They are sitting in the 2 seed at 24-9, with Minnesota right behind them at 24-9 as well. So those are my 2 plays today in the WNBA, but I can't move on without talking about the Indiana Fever. Minnesota Lynx go to Indiana to take on the Fever. Bettors seem to like the Lynx in this one. I saw 2.5 last night. I'm seeing all 3s here today for Minnesota. Total 169.5. That's exactly where I made that total. I think that is correct here with the Fever and how we see them play. Very good offensively as of late. It's kind of like the other game with the Wings and the Dream. Minnesota, very, very good defensively. Top defensive team in the league. And then Indiana has just been outscoring everyone on this run to already clinch their spot in the playoffs. So going to be a tough battle here for the Fever at home. That is why they are getting points. I think that number is just right. No play for me. We do have some prop bets, though, as well here at the South Point. Caitlin Clark is going for a record here. You can watch on Punchlines here at the South Point studio, but on the Punchlines FN YouTube channel. They've been following this very closely with Caitlin Clark. So her point total today at the South Point, 20.5. If you like the over, -120. Rebounds in this game, 5.5. If you like the over, you're getting plus money at plus 110. Assists sitting here at 9.5. And then 3-pointers, 3.5. I know Caitlin Clark is coming off her first triple-double as a WNBA player. So this will be a lot of fun to watch here between these two teams that are both playing very, very well. That's it for me for WNBA. We will get to baseball later. Talked about some college. We'll have some more college and some bigger games here in just a minute with Duane Colucci. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a really quick break. On the other side, we'll have Duane joining me to talk some college football and maybe even give out a horse play.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Here we go. We are back here on Sports by the Book. A lot more to get to. I'm Alex White. Thanks so much for joining me on this Friday. Please make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow our new social media pages. All right, we're going to bring him in. Duane Colucci, you saw him last night on the Football Frenzy with Jeff Parles, and now he's taking a few minutes to join me as well. Duane from the Rampart runs the race and sportsbook over there. How are you doing this morning? And thank you so much for joining me.
Doing well, Alex. Recovering from last night's opening kickoff. A lot of fun. Book was packed, I have to say, and what an exciting game to start off the regular season. Definitely, if this is going to be a measuring stick, it's going to be, as Chris Andrews tweeted last night, a great season. What a season this is going to be.
I'm very excited, and hopefully we'll have some more entertaining Thursday night football games like last night, unlike the last few years. But it was a great game, and I can't believe the ending here. Talk to us about this. How did it pan out for the Bucs? Landed right there at 47, and then, of course, the Chiefs did cover, though, the 2.5 and the 3.
Yeah, the Chiefs did cover, and they played a solid game, and it was a game of inches, Alex, as you could see. Toe was right on the line there at the end of the game, and that made all the difference. But credit to Patrick Mahomes and his team, Rice, Pacheco. These guys are just fabulous, Alex. I just can't believe how they are able to just overcome everything in the offseason, all the media attention, and they just come out firing and outplay the MVP, Lamar Jackson. And that's hard to say because Jackson had a fabulous game himself. But, definitely a great game. From the book perspective, we made some money, I'll be honest with you. We just did not want the Chiefs to win the game by 3. That was the key number. You saw Jimmy Vaccaro back and forth putting up the big tickets that South Point took. My shop, unfortunately, got plied with Chief money, but we were able to overcome and still make a profit. Excellent bookmaking job, as always, by Chris Andrews and his team over at the South Point. And, it was just a fabulous game. 220,000 on Baltimore. Unfortunately, that player lost at the +3. And then we had some buyback at 110,000 -2.5. Those were the two tickets I spoke about that Jimmy posted. So it was just a fabulous game and, good outcome for the Rampart and South Point. And we're looking forward to tonight's game in Brazil.
Colucci, you talking about the Chiefs and how good they looked with Rice and Pacheco. And then, of course, Worthy, he had a great game, 2 touchdowns. Yep, as fast as advertised there with him. And then they still don't even have Hollywood Brown yet. So personally, I had the Niners a little bit ahead of the Chiefs. But now looking at that, and they are locked in, is that your number one team going into this season?
I tell you, Alex, the Niners are there. And, the NFC, they look so strong in the NFC because you have all the parity surrounding the Eagles. You don't know what they're going to bring to the table. We're going to find out tonight, as well as Green Bay. So, you have Green Bay, you have Philadelphia that are following, the San Francisco lead, in my opinion. Also, Detroit, naturally. Detroit's going to be right there. They're very hungry and well coached. But, yeah, I would have to say San Francisco on the NFC side of the ball is the best team going in on paper, though. You know how this plays out. If there's a lot of injuries, Alex, anything could happen. The Chiefs still look like they're the king of the hill, though, in the AFC. AFC has a lot, though, a lot of scrambling to do. Baltimore will play a lot better. They have to utilize Henry a little better. He was on the sideline, and I understand that, you're playing catch up at some points of the game, but you have to grind the ball and pound that Chief defense. Keep the defense on the field as opposed to letting Lamar do all this flashy stuff. And despite almost having 400 all-purpose yards for Lamar Jackson, you're still on the short end of the stick and by a touchdown. It wasn't just a 1-point, 2-point, 3-point game. You're trying to follow up the Chiefs scoring with some big plays, but it didn't pan out that way. So the AFC is still kind of up for grabs, but the Chiefs are monstrous and they're here to stay, barring injuries.
Very well said. I'm curious, from behind the book, I know a lot of people like to take any points they can get going into week 1 with the NFL, which I don't blame them. So do you think that killed a lot of parlays? Do you think more people had the Ravens? Or do you think now moving forward, a lot of people have the Chiefs as their first check for some of their parlays?
The ticket count was great on both sides, so there's still a lot of parlays and teasers alive. Don't kid yourself, Alex. That was a tough game, and going into tonight's game, we have a 2-to-1 ticket count on the Eagles as I look right now, and the Eagles are taking substantial money. We opened the game at 1; it's at 2.5 now, so you understand that we don't just move the games on air at the Rampart and South Point. So I believe there's still a lot of tickets alive. You get those parlay cards involved too. The games for Thursday and Friday are listed on our parlay cards. So good two-way action when you have these marquee matchups. The money may be higher and significantly higher on another team, but you still have good two-way action, and you have a lot of parlays and teasers that are still alive.
Here's a college football game I want to go to that I assume does have a lot of two-way action. That is Texas at Michigan. We did see some 7.5s earlier on this week with Texas. Now sitting right there at 7. 7-point favorite on the road, and total sitting at 42.5. Is that pretty even?
Alex, we opened at 6.5. So to go to the key number of 7, the initial reaction was to take Texas, and that's a road favorite. So, we're starting to get some Michigan money now. I think we'll get some big blue money as we get closer to the game. Another game where you're going to have both sides on teasers. Definitely we have a huge Michigan clientele, especially after last year here at the Rampart. People that just love to bet with their heart on their sleeves. So this is an interesting matchup. Rarely do you see Michigan getting 7 points in a situation like this. We're getting so far. The initial reaction, as I said, is Texas money. Now we're starting to get a little Michigan money. Teases and parlays on both sides. A great matchup going into this Saturday. And, a measuring stick game, definitely for both colleges. And we're going to see how they react.
Duane, Michigan's defense still looked like top 5 in the country. Do you have an opinion either way on this one? But I mean, Texas looked very good, and I think that is why we saw the early money on the Longhorns. But do you have a feel or lean either way?
I would definitely take the points. I'll be honest with you. I like taking the points in a situation like this. I'm not sold on Texas just yet. They looked really good, but like you said, Michigan's defense is still floating around. And when you see that total of 42.5, that's a measuring stick that, we know that Michigan has a solid defense and there's not going to be a hell of a lot of points in this game. But I would tend to take the underdog in this situation. It's a 9 a.m. start. Like I said, we opened 6.5, now at 7 at the Rampart in South Point. 42.5, Alex. So this is a great matchup.
Let's talk about another game that is not going to see a lot of points. 35.5 is the total here for Iowa State and Iowa. A great rivalry game between these two. I know there were some 2.5s out there for Iowa. I missed that number. I would have been on the Hawkeyes in this one if I grabbed it. But what do you think about this rivalry game going into this Saturday?
Well, we're sharp, Alex. We opened it at 3 and we're staying at 3. So we get some good two-way action. You're right. There were 2.5s out there. And I know you jump on it because you're, an expert handicapper yourself. But this is definitely a tough matchup. You see that low total, 35.5. And you know what Iowa was about last year. So, this is a tough game. I wouldn't have a go of it if I was betting some substantial money on this game. I might parlay the favorite a little. I kind of like the favorite. 150 on the money line. Also, that's an hammering because, you're not laying the field goal and it's a low money line. But good two-way action so far. Opened it at 3, staying at a steady 3. And based on last year, Iowa doesn't put up any points and they don't give up much. So I think it's going to be a tight defensive struggle as usual with these two teams when they match up, a definite rivalry game. Ticket count is real close on this game. So, we opened it at 3. Other places did have 2.5. If you jumped on it, good luck. And this is going to be a tough matchup in my opinion. But like I said, again, good two-way action. Kind of high on Iowa on the ticket count with the teasers and the parlays and the money line parlays.
Let's go to prime time here. He is going to Nebraska. It's not very often you're getting this many points. 6.5 with Colorado, or we did see it at the end of last season, but he was very good as an underdog. So now you're getting 6.5. Some places still 7 with Colorado at Nebraska. Total 55.5. What are you seeing from your side at your book, Duane?
Ticket count is 2-1 on Nebraska, Alex. So, this is an interesting matchup. I'll be honest with you. I like that Colorado has that game under their belt, and it was a tough game. So I might take the points in this game. Definitely we're seeing the public, though, bet the favorite. Matt Rule now there, a different possible regime at Nebraska. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, I think it's same old story with Nebraska, whereas Colorado, they thrive in the limelight despite having that terrible second half of last year. They got off to such a quick start. And Neon is under the microscope. But this is a game where we're taking a lot of Nebraska action. Like I said, ticket count is 2-1. Kind of like the underdog, but, nothing spectacular in this game.
It is tough. I mean, they do have 2 of the best players right now in the country at quarterback. And then, of course, Travis Hunter, what we've seen him do on both sides of the ball. But you made a good point, Duane. Last year, beginning of the season, when they had all their starters, they were pretty good. I would lean to taking the points here, too.
Yeah, definitely, Alex. Anytime you're getting anywhere near a touchdown against an unproven foe and you have a game under your belt, that Deion coaches well. I mean, they watched him, and he definitely is a motivator, in my opinion. And a lot of people talk about him for a pro job. So I would take the points. I would lean to take it. I would hope for it to get to 7. I'm looking at the money right now. I mean, like I said, ticket count is high. Money is almost 2-1 too. So you may see 7, but I think a lot of that Colorado money is going to come in late. Everybody knows, it's like Colorado is America's team now, Alex. With Deion there, it's an ultra attraction.
It really is. And it usually is pretty entertaining. You got to give them that. I love to ask Chris this, so I want to ask you, any smaller games on the board jump out to you that kind of shocked you that you were either getting a lot of money or even just put on a lot of tickets?
We're getting a little Cincinnati money, I'll be honest with you, against Pittsburgh. I looked at that game. Also, the Cal-Auburn matchup. That's a very interesting matchup. We opened that game, Auburn, a 2-touchdown favorite, and now it's down to 12.5. So people are taking Cal on the initial reaction. SEC team against Cal. I would lay the points, I'll be honest with you. I think Auburn could definitely win that game, but we're seeing a move from 14 to 12.5. So that was definitely a game that also caught my eye. high. USC now is going to be a major attraction, especially after, handling LSU in that big opening week matchup. We opened that game at 28. It's up to 29 now. So we're going to see some action on USC in parlays and teasers, especially, Alex. When you get a point spread that's large, that's when people start to bet teasers with this team, and they're going to be a focal point despite being the last game at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Everybody's going to have a lot of money riding on USC. We know that as bookmakers, so that's going to be interesting. Little Mississippi State action against Arizona State. We opened that game at 6. Now it's down to 5. Those are a couple of the games that have stood out to me. Oregon bet up just a little tick, 18.5 opener, now at 19 against Boise State. These are the focal games late in the card in the afternoon. So those I've seen a little action at my shop. Also, they're betting against the Irish again, believe it or not. We opened this game at 31, Alex, and now it is down to 28. Wow. So when you shave a field goal off the point spread, yeah, definitely. That's some significant money. And I'm surprised they keep betting against the Irish, but it's a big point spread. 31 is a lot of points. Now it's down to 28.
Ooh, very good summary there for us going into college football week 2. I do have to ask you about baseball. We talk about it with you weekly here on Sports by the Book. Duane Colucci joins me, sportsbook director at the Rampart. Any games jump off the board to you, Duane, today, or any high ticket count?
This is a tough card. I'll be honest with you. Dodgers are playing Cleveland. This is a big matchup for both sides. Dodgers want to keep that 5.5 game lead, keep it ahead of these two hungry teams in the Padres and Arizona who have been playing very well. You have Knack on the hill for the Dodgers, Boyd on the hill for Cleveland. We opened the game at 141. Naturally, we're getting little Dodger money. It's up to 143. That's a marquee matchup, though, that we'll keep our eyes on. Also, Hill returning for the Yankees. Let's see what goes there. We opened this game at 126, and we're taking Cub money, believe it or not. It's down to 116 against the Yankees, and Hill only a half game behind Baltimore, so they want to win games. Starting to get healthy, the Yankees, but they have to watch themselves. They have to get hitting other than Stanton, Judge, and Soto. They have to get all these guys in, together in one bunch and start to win games. And especially with Cole possibly going down now, that's going to be tough on the Yankees if he's not able to finish out the season and be a marquee pitcher in the playoffs. White Sox actually won a game. That's amazing, Alex. So, seeing the Red Sox 260 bet up to 280, nobody thinks they can win 2 in a row, especially with only having 30 victories on the season. So, yeah, definitely we're seeing some action there. Also, Kansas City, we opened that at 143, and they've been kind of on a losing streak, on a downer, so opened it at 143. Minnesota taking action at 136. And they're trying to reel in Cleveland. Cleveland's been hovering, but Kansas City and Minnesota haven't been playing all that well. Let's see who comes out of that series, Alex. That's going to be a very, very important series. And naturally, you have the Mets holding steadfast. We open 175, still sitting at 175. They're in the wild card hunt with Atlanta, San Diego, Arizona. That's a tough wild card hunt. We'll see how that plays out as well. But those are the marquee games on the slate tonight, and we'll see where the action goes, but not much so far in the early morning at the Rampart and South Point.
You're right about that wild card hunt. It is going to be very entertaining down the stretch here, as it already has been the last few weeks. Duane, last thing before I let you go. I know you have a very busy weekend ahead of you, but I was talking to Ralph Soroka before this show. He was telling me about Kentucky Downs, and to ask you a little bit about that and all that money that is there.
Yeah, it's amazing, Alex. I mean, the purses, you had graded stake races at Saratoga that were $200,000, which is a substantial purse when you're dealing with horse racing. Kentucky Downs in their 9-day meet had maiden races. Now, what a maiden race is where a horse has never won a career start. So you have all these first-time starters, horses with a couple, of starts, but have not broken through and won. They have maiden races that are $200,000. This has been a very competitive meet at Kentucky Downs, I'll be honest with you, they're not running today. They run an oddball schedule. I will tell you that. But it's like somebody just had a farm and opened up a racetrack. You have all these hills and valleys, and it's only turf racing, which is a major attraction. We love horse racing at the Rampart, so the room was packed yesterday. But it's very difficult to handicap, Alex. A tough racetrack to handicap. The payoffs are so substantial. But getting back, those maiden special weights being $200,000 purses, whereas at Saratoga, the marquee meet in the United States, they have graded stake races, $200,000. You see all the top riders at Kentucky Downs right now and top trainers trying to get that money because it's only 9 days and a 9-day meet. So you're going to see guys like Irad Ortiz there, Jose Ortiz, Flavion Pratt. Right after Saratoga, they went to Kentucky Downs to compete for all this big money. It is a marquee meet. We're going to have some excellent action on it for the remainder. I think there's like 3 days left, Alex. So definitely keep this on your radar. Kentucky Downs, for that little small meet, does compete with Saratoga, Del Mar, and Keeneland if you base a 9-day handle comparison.
Great information. Thank you so much for all of that, Duane. Can you tell everybody where they can find you on X? Because I know sometimes you do give out some winners there.
Yeah, I'm on X at NYBookieDuane, and that's where I post most of my stuff on X. It's an excellent platform. Most of the bookmakers and professional handicappers are on it. I know Alex is on it as well. So, yeah, I will put together some tickets, also some selections here and there from my horse racing catalog. The sports catalog, definitely watch this show. That's where we give out sports picks, sports by the book. Best show out there for the consumer and the novice. If you want to learn how to gamble and you want gambling talk, it's right here at South Point Studios, nowhere else.
Duane, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I always love having you on as a co-host with me as well. Duane Colucci from the Rampart Hotel and Casino. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. On the other side, we have Lou Finnochiaro joining me. We'll talk NFL and UFC. Don't go anywhere.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Casino. Thank you, Duane Colucci, so much for joining me. I know he is very busy right now. It is week 1 of the NFL. I am really excited, and that is why this next guest is joining me, Lou Finnochiaro. Lou, how are you? Thank you. Really quick, you took a break from the weigh-ins for tomorrow's fight. Tell everybody why that's so important and how that goes into your handicap.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me on. Love to come and share insights with you about passions that we love in the sports world. So as far as the weigh-ins, they're very telling to me because they're the end of the week. It's the last thing before the fight. So these fighters have to make their contractual weight. Then they have about a day and a half to rehydrate before they fight. There's a 2-hour window usually to make the weight. It's usually 9 a.m. the Friday of the fights. And those that come in and weigh in right away and get to hydrating are your business people, and they're ready to rock and roll. And those that stagger and wait until the end of the weigh-in process usually aren't trying to do so. They also want to weigh in the first 10 minutes, but they cut a lot of weight in this sport. It's not always easy. Some cuts can be really bad, and I need to know who's had bad cuts, who has good cuts, because that affects matchups and obviously the bottom line.
We will get to NFL, as I promised everybody who is joining us here on Sports by the Book. But let's start right there with UFC. We do have a card tomorrow. It will be here in Las Vegas. Anything that you found out from the weigh-ins first and foremost before we get to your two top plays?
Both of the top plays that we'll talk about weighed in and looked good, and now they're eating bananas and drinking orange juice. So that part is relieving. As far as the rest of it is concerned, there's a lot more fighters yet to weigh in, and we'll just have to see how the two opponents look when they get on the scale.
Well, let's go right into it, Lou. If you don't mind sharing with us your two top plays, and I know they are both plus money.
Well, probably the best fight of the night's a lightweight fight between a young man named Trevor Peek and Yanal Ashmouz, an Israeli fighter shipping in from Israel. Both are sawed-off shotguns pointed at each other, and they're both going to fire. And they're going to fire at the center of the ring, standing there trying to knock each other's block off. The difference in these two fighters is that Peek probably has just a touch more power. He's brute force, but he's not very skilled, and he doesn't have much wrestling understanding really in any way, shape, or form. The opponent does. The opponent does have some wrestling acumen, and therein lies the difference between the fighters. If Yanal Ashmouz can mix in a takedown or two, especially early, and get Peek having to defend both, it really helps him with his striking in a fight that's going to be really close and one you don't want to miss. Ashmouz is plus 100 to plus 110. As long as it's plus, I would say take him.
And then you have one more that you aren't looking at just the winner. You are looking at via finish as well.
Yes, in a fight between young Amuram. Don't tell Chrissy that I'm betting against the Greek girl, Vanessa Demopoulos, in this one, but the Greek girl comes in. She's a tiny little fireball, and she's a substantial underdog in the fight. She's fighting a Brazilian gal named Amuram. Amuram starts out 500 favorite, and Demopoulos gets steamed early. Amuram is only a 300 favorite. But Amuram is bigger, stronger, longer. She is younger, has almost every advantage going for her. Demopoulos' record isn't quite what it indicates, I think. And so I think Demopoulos might be over her head here. And when you look at the total here of the one-sided lined fight, you see that 2.5, the over, is only minus 210 or 215. And that's smelly because those ladies' fights in the undersized divisions, those 2.5s are over minus 4.25 or minus 400 or 350. 215 tells me something. And so we're going to take Amuram and the price advantage, but we're going to try and kind of parlay it into the Amuram inside the distance where we get plus 220. That's the angle for this fight, at least for me.
I love it, Lou. One of the best, or if not the best, UFC handicapper out there. Follow him on X at Gamble Lou. We're going to move over to the NFL, and you are looking at something in the NFC South Division. I'm with you. I really think this is a two-horse race. I like the Bucks, and I also like the Falcons. Where are you going with this? You picked one to win the division at a good plus price.
Yeah, I've sensed and seen and heard all the Falcon love. And what I find about that is how interesting it is because it comes on the heels of a bunch of Falcon hate. And in both cases, I think it displays a misunderstanding of exactly what the Falcons are doing. And so when after the draft, everybody came down on them for draft, why would you draft a quarterback? You just got Cousins, blah, blah, blah. And now everybody's on board with them. Everybody loves them to win the division. It's the division where you go last to first. Everybody gets it. The issue is, and I think to explain both of these conundrums, is that the Bucks organization just changed. There's a whole new regime coming in, first-year coaches. They took the quarterback in the draft because they're looking more than just the first 3 games of this season, or for that matter, they're looking beyond just this season. Yes, the NFL is win today, but with this situation in Atlanta, it explains the move to draft the quarterback, and it also explains the move that I don't think they're in a hurry to win every single game they can this year. They're building something there, and for that matter, I think people are on the wrong horse. Meanwhile, Tampa, a team that won the division, returns their whole offense. In fact, has upgraded some spots in their terrible offensive line from last year. That line is improved. Now that offense comes back improved, and they're getting disrespected. You can catch them in the division at plus 320 or better, depending where you're shopping. You can look at a total for them at 7.5. To me, that's laughable. You can take a look at going over on that. And I think that they are a team in ascent in that division. And to a smaller extent, I think Carolina is. And I think that those 2 teams evolving are going to come at the expense of the New Orleans Saints and, without question, the Atlanta Falcons, who I think people will be disappointed in. But from within that organization, they're not going to be disappointed in, because they're not trying to win the Super Bowl this year. They're trying to build an organization.
As I just mentioned before the question, I was torn between the 2. I think you just convinced me. That was a very compelling argument, especially, I mean, who do you want ahead of your franchise quarterback? Kirk Cousins is a perfect option there for him to follow and learn from this year. So to your point, that's kind of what they could be doing this year.
That's the point. Who better to learn from than a guy like Cousins? Holy mackerel, you hit it right on the head. You get it.
Let's look at the team that was very disappointing last year with Bryce Young, number 1 pick overall in the Panthers. It does seem like a lot of people are giving them support in their win column, and you are too. You do like their win totals over this year.
I have to admit that outside some schedule study, I don't know a lot of the intricacies of their team and what they've done outside of some player movement. But when I look at this team, I really believe they're going to be better, and they have learned from what happened to them last year, especially we have a second-year quarterback who's going to grow exponentially, I believe. And with that growth in mind, I look at their total, and last year it was 7.5. This year it's 5.5. I mean, to me, I don't have to do a whole lot more research after that. Alex, I like the over because I believe I'm getting value on a team that's going to be better.
I'm with you. I can't blame you for taking over 5.5 with 17 games in the season. Who do you like? Who do you think will have the most regular season wins? I'm sure you would have liked Baltimore to take one from the Chiefs yesterday, but it's not the Chiefs. So who are you looking at for most regular season wins?
Yeah, regular season wins. That's one I did get involved with. And it takes me a while to get on the positive train with some of these teams. And try as I might to fade Houston in any way, shape, or form this year, and I tried really diligently. I couldn't. Every time I listen to the coach, look at the roster, watch them play, see how they're built, I just think they're in a really advantageous position to go on a run. And it couldn't happen to a better young man as the head coach. And I think he's building a team around him that isn't done growing yet. And so I'm high on Houston.
They definitely didn't stay stagnant. They brought in more pieces to just help them take the next step. Before we bring Chris in for a few words with you, what are you looking at for week 1? Any plays for this Sunday?
Week 1, all I do is look at the lines that were opened on May 16th. Many people put out lines May 16th. If you look at those lines May 16th to how they are today, they've barely moved. That tells you how sharp these line makers are. If you're going to compete with them, you better know what you're doing. And so I know I don't know what I'm doing in week 1. I know that, and I've put hours of study in. So what I'm going to do is simply look at those numbers from May 16th, see which ones have moved the most and go the other way. And the one that's moved the most so far is Dallas-Cleveland, Dallas opened one in May 16th at numerous locations now. Dallas is receiving 2.5. I think that's a really good opportunity on a Dallas team that I don't know why they would be getting discounted in their marketplace 3.5 points. They signed the wide receiver. Yeah, Dak isn't signed, but they don't have near the questions that they exist in Cleveland. And while Cleveland has so many facets of their team to be proud about, the key facet, the quarterback, is the question mark. So they're going to have to prove it to me. And so Dallas plus the 2.5 is the biggest overreaction. And so I'm going to take Dallas. The other big overreaction is in that game in the total. It's gone 44 to 41.5. So people believe it's going to be 19-17. That one's a tougher one to fade for me because I tend to think it's going to be a 19-17 kind of game, and I'll be happy to have the 2.5. I don't think it's going to get to 3, or I'd advise waiting around, but I think when some public starts to trickle in here over the weekend, they'll be on Dallas, and you could end up, if you get greedy, losing the 2.5. So I'm going to take the 2.5 and maybe a little some sound investment on the money line as well. Dallas ain't going there to get close.
Lou, I love when you join me, even if it's just for 15 minutes. I appreciate your time. I know that you've got a lot going on with the weigh-ins and everything, but I always learn something from you, and I appreciate that very much.
Hi, Chris. Is that Chris?
Oh, okay. I don't need to hear him. I just want to say goodbye to Lou.
Oh, there we go.
Goodbye, because he picked against the Greek girl. Well, I don't think we could have him back. So it's been nice knowing you, Lou, and, better stick with Dave Jensen next time you come to South Point soon.
I'm so sorry. Everyone assured me that you were out of earshot.
All right. I'm not rooting for you in that one, buddy boy. I hate to tell you.
Well, she was a very big underdog, though, Chris. She's up against it a little bit. So Lou's just trying to give us the best information.
Blood's thicker than water. What can I tell you?
The fight's not over yet. Chrissy, great to see you. You're looking great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Lou, thank you so much. Make sure and follow him on X at
Bye-bye.
Gamble Lou. We always love having him jump on. Chris Andrews joins me now from the back of the Sportsbook. How are you doing?
Busy. This is my first time, and I talked to Ryan Growney and Michael Guy. I've never taken 2 days off in my entire career in football. I'm 68 years old now. I got a great crew behind me. I really do.
Yes.
I'm taking 2 days off this year.
How was it yesterday having the day off?
Well, it was nice. I mean, I talked to him a bunch of times on the phone, and, you saw we took that, we took the $200,000 bet on the dog early, and then we took a $100,000 bet excuse me, on the favorite a little late. Action was fantastic all the way around. Really, handle's been terrific. I really think we're going to have a fantastic year. And, of course, when Michael asked me why, I'm going to tell him it's because of the studio, of course. That's why else would it be? So
when you took that $100,000 on the Chiefs, did you guys eventually go back to 3?
Yeah, we
did.
Yeah.
And then that's where you closed.
Well, we had all those months. Like the guy who bet me the $200,000 plus the 3 early on. He's a guy we know. Long time, been a customer of mine since I've been here, so 8 years. And he's smart. He told me, he says, I'll never see 3 flat again, and that's what he liked. I said, well, go ahead. He wanted to know, could he bet that much? I said, yeah, go ahead. I said, that way I could just, instead of having to play that little game back and forth, 2.5, 3, I just leave it at 2.5. So we had plenty of Kansas City money on the small stuff, on parlays and all that other stuff going in. And then, the person came in, bet me $100,000 late. I mean, in that position, you kind of got to take that bet. We still wound up doing really well just because we had so much juice both ways, So everything was good. Yeah, no complaints.
Chris, what a crazy game. And to lose by just that much, if you did have Baltimore and the points, and they probably would have gone for 2.
Look,
and you were hoping.
He was pointing, too. And, I talked about it. That's the right strategy because, you're on the road. You're at Kansas City, this 2-time Super Bowl champions, which we're going to hear a million times this year. But you're 2 yards from victory. That's the way to do it. And it reminded me of something very obscure, like got to be 10, 12 years ago. I remember the Penguins were playing Detroit. This is Sidney Crosby had not won a Stanley Cup. And they were like a $2 dog, game 7, going into Detroit. It's like, oh, man, what a bad break you guys got. Yeah, this is a bad break. We're 1 game from the Stanley Cup. I don't care if we're a 2-1 dog. You're one game away. And, of course, they won. But that's what I thought of yesterday. You're 2 yards away from beating this team in Arrowhead. That's not easy to do. Well, it's not easy to beat them anywhere, really. But, might as well go for that victory.
Absolutely. Especially we just saw them win in overtime in the biggest game of the year in the Super Bowl. So I wouldn't give them the ball back.
Yeah, you don't want to give him the ball back. No way.
No. What game are you looking forward to? What seems to be the big one on the NFL slate going into Sunday?
NFL slate. Right now, tonight's game.
Okay.
I don't know what else to tell you. But I heard you ask, is there any obscure games? You asked Colucci.
Yes.
I wrote a couple down that I don't know, but we're getting a ton of action. Army and FAU. Eastern Michigan, Washington.
Okay.
Sam Houston in Central Florida. UAB and Monroe. And Liberty in New Mexico State. I mean, I got a ton of business on this. I mean, we expected to have a lot of money on Michigan and Texas, Tennessee and NC State. Anytime Notre Dame's playing, you're going to get a lot of money. But these other games, you just never know what's going to strike a chord with the bettors. And I mean, two-way action, not just like we got flooded because we had a bad number or anything like that, but great two-way action, which is what we love out there. A lot of guys with a lot of money and have different opinions. It's, perfect.
It is Friday. I'm happy that you decided to join me for the last 10 minutes, but you also have 2-hour show coming up later. Yeah. How was last week with you guys, your first Football Frenzy back on Sports by the Book, which you have Parles hosting, of course, and you and Vinny. And then what are you looking forward to in today's show? Or can you tell everybody what they can expect?
Well, the first hour, we're going to do college, that's the plan. Last week, we said we're going to be on for an hour. We're on for an hour and 15 minutes. So right now, the first hour is planned on college, second hour, NFL. And, we got a lot to talk about in both realms. But, we'll fill it up. Hopefully we'll give you guys a lot of knowledge and, kind of take it from there.
That is the best part, right? You guys talk about where the number is, where it opened, where it's moved, where the money is. And then you've been giving out a few of your top plays as well.
I was 4-1 last week.
Very good.
So, I skipped my one loser, which I was way off, Virginia Tech. I didn't give that to my wife. I gave her 6 winners. So she was very happy, but she was upset that she didn't parlay them.
That is the worst. You're trying to be a responsible, good sports bettor. You're not supposed to parlay.
But every once in a while she'll throw a $5 parlay on, but she didn't do it last week, and she'll probably do it this week, and I won't have any winners.
And then, of course, you did give me that small underdog money line round robin.
Yeah, you did
that went 4 and 6, yes. Yeah. Would you recommend doing that again or looking for some in week 2?
Yeah, this would be, again, another week because I think, like I said, that guy who used to bet me at Cal Neva every year, and, he was just his thing was, he says, you got some of these short dogs, and you round robin them. I mean, that multiplies out fast. He bets them on the money line.
Right.
He says, we'll look at, come November, and you'll say, how the hell was this team an underdog to that team? So he always, always is a big word. I can't remember me ever beating him these first 2 weeks. Wow. He'd always do really good. Now, you can't just go throwing darts at the board and pick every underdog. But he was very judicious. I think I gave you 4 of what I would think the 6 plays that he would make. And there's a couple out there that you might want to take a look at. I don't know. I'm looking at maybe FIU, Old Dominion. Those 2 teams, short dogs. That maybe wouldn't be dogs at the end of the year. Mississippi State, I'm not sure they'd be a dog at once we get through the season. And there's a couple others that maybe you want to take a look at. Virginia maybe, something like that. Do your study and do your work. Like I said, you just can't throw darts at the board. But that was his theory, and he did very well over the course of time.
Honestly, I will definitely be doing one again because it did work out for me. And there was a lot of money on West Virginia. Yeah. So we did throw that one in there.
I know, and I liked it too.
That probably wasn't even as small enough for us to throw in there.
But it was one of those deals where, I think I was influenced by my past. Like I said, I've been at a couple games in West Virginia, both basketball and football, and that is a rabid crowd. And 2 things I learned from that game. Number one, Penn State, I think, is better than I thought. The new offensive coordinator is, I can't pronounce his name, but new offensive coordinator, I think, really understands what that team is. And maybe West Virginia is not quite as good as I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to take a step up this year. I didn't see any evidence of that in the game. Thought so beforehand, but not afterward.
I'm with you. I think both of those are the 2 main takeaways there. Penn State, really that defense. Drew Aller looked good too.
Aller looks very good.
Yes. It might be the new OC, but I think they are ready to play at the big stage. Hopefully they go all the way to the playoffs.
There's no team that the expanded playoffs helped more than Penn State.
That is so true.
So I'd love to see them in there. And, you never know if they could beat Ohio State. Miracles happen. I mean, this is listen, you've been following sports your whole life with your grandfather, who I knew well, your dad, who I know pretty well. And, crazy things happen. People tell me stuff, and I said, you ever watch college football on a Saturday? There's all kind of crazy stuff that happens.
Oh, yeah. I actually have a funny story for you from last night because I met my dad. We went to Durango, sign up for the contest that they have going on there. We're watching the game, and I wore my Lamar Jackson jersey. So last minute, they're driving down the field. He looks at me, and he's like, did you bet this game? And I said, I have no money on this game. And he goes, all right, we need a stop. Your grandpa has under 47.5.
Oh, nice number.
Like, all right, I can root for the Chiefs now. And so he got very lucky. But I'm like, thinking to myself, that's what it's like being in a sports betting family, right? It's like, how much does this mean? Is there money on it?
Well, good for Pete.
Yes.
But it was a bad number for us, the 47. I had it on the
Okay.
Ties win card at 47. But, I can't complain. We had a great day, fantastic handle. And I'm glad Jimmy tweeted out those tickets, 100,000. And I told the actually it was a lady who came in, but I think she was betting for her boyfriend or husband. I said, I'll take those kind of bets, but you didn't give me much time. She came in at 5:00. I said, usually when the game was extended an extra 15, 20 minutes because of lightning.
Yeah.
I said, I might not take that all the time that close to post, but if you come in early and, come in and talk to me, we'll see what we could do to accommodate you. On a big game. I mean, I'm not going to take that on every game.
Right. And that was a huge game.
Yeah, it was a big game.
To start off the season. What are you anticipating for this weekend? It's going to be huge handle. I mean, we saw, was that a record last year for week 1 in college football?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was a record Thursday night opening for the season. Not only I think it was more than double the past record. Of course, a couple pretty big bets. But I think we're going to have a great handle tonight, and then Sunday, a couple great games. But again, you never know which game catches the public's imagination because of numbers. But we have a great Sunday night game with the Rams and the Lions.
Yes.
And we have a great Monday night game with the Jets and the Niners. I'm going to digress for just a second because I heard Lou talk about Atlanta a little bit.
Yeah.
Listen to a couple podcasts. Matter of fact, our good friend Dave Damashek, who's been on a couple times. And Dave likes to go out on a limb, and he picks Atlanta to be the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Wow.
Now, he explains his reasoning. They are in a weak division. He thinks Tampa's pretty good, but the other 2 teams are not. So he makes a good point there. He says, I don't think they're the best team in the NFC. Now, I have more action on Atlanta in the futures, both to win the Super Bowl, to make the playoffs, to not make the playoffs, than any other team. This is a team that, I don't know, that's captured people's imaginations, both good and bad, which of course we love.
Right.
But it's been fantastic. And they're playing my Steelers this week, and I kind of like Atlanta. I hate to say, I don't know.
Be careful because Frank Nicotero, he is awake. He is prepping for his show. He's watching right now, and he was in the chat. And
yeah. What'd Frankie say?
He said they're going to lose to the Steelers this weekend.
Atlanta's going to lose to the Steelers? Okay, I hope Frank's right. But we're moving with business, so, we don't let that.
That's right.
Try not to let my personal opinion influence me too much unless I really have strong reason.
It is interesting. I mean, even like the last few years, we watched that division just kind of beat up each other and nobody really take the leap. So it does kind of open a door for one to have the most wins.
And of course, Chad
conference.
Millman came on and he said, by the way, thank Chad if you're listening. Thank you for coming on.
Yes.
But he thinks Tampa's like one of the worst teams in the NFL. So, that's another part of that equation in that division.
Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. You'll be back today from 2 to 4.
Yep.
For Sports by the Book Football Frenzy. And before we get out of here, we are going to go to Ryan because they do have punchlines coming up here at noon. I will let him tell you all about it. But remember, this is Sports by the Book. our YouTube channel. Please subscribe so you get notified every time we have a show. We now are 7 days a week in the mornings and then 3 great Football Frenzy shows in the evening. But we're going to go to Ryan. That is another YouTube channel. You got to go over to Punchlines FN to check out Ryan and Frank Nicotero at 12.
Yes. Today we will have Jeff Parles. So if you missed him this morning, Jeff Parles at noon, as well as for the Football Frenzy later this afternoon with Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo. Today on Punchlines, we will be talking about last night's football game that was decided by a toe and a couple other things from that one, a couple things from Major League Baseball, maybe some WNBA, and some other things around the sporting world. So you're going to have to tune in at noon on the Punchlines FN YouTube page later today.
And Fridays are always fun because it's the end of the week. Frank will be in a great mood, ready for his Steelers game, and it should be a lot of fun as always. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, please subscribe, and thank you to my 3 great guests. I don't think I could have had a better lineup with Duane, Lou, and now Chris Andrews stopping in. This is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. I will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. with Jeff Parles. We will go through as many college football games as we can and give you all of our best bets. So we'll see you then. Have a great Friday, everybody. This has been Sports by the Book.